Hey guys, so what's today? Today is, gosh, so much going on right now and my head is like spinning. Today is May 29th. So I was actually finishing up with some stuff for tomorrow for work, and I was actually preparing some articles and some videos and stuff, and actually rolling out my podcast for tomorrow. And my partner decided to come and show me some videos of some stuff going down in somewhere. I think it's in Milwaukee. I think it's in Milwaukee, or it's in somewhere where there's a lot of protests, and they kind of burnt down protesters just kind of went cray-cray, and they burnt down a precinct or that's what it looks like from people watching it, from a distance or whatever. I have to say, guys, this is freaking me out a little bit because last year, so for those of you who don't know, about me, I'm a professional psychic medium. This is what I do for a living, right? And sometimes whenever something big is coming, I usually dream it, just because in my mind, I don't always see things as clearly if I'm trying to tune into the future when it comes to world events. When it comes to people's lives, like that's a lot easier for me because that's more like practical, and it's within my sphere of reality. But with psychics, if something's way out of their sphere of reality, it kind of gets a little harder to sense things. So typically whenever something big is coming, I tend to dream it out. I don't always understand the symbolism in the dream, but I definitely remember the details. And many times when I dream it out, I'm having a first person perspective, meaning that I'm not me in the dream, I'm actually someone witnessing or going through the experience in the dream. And so I uploaded a post on May 20th. I posted an article on medium.com talking about, and the post is called "The Problem with Prophesizing World Events, Politics, and the Future for Psychics." And I go into a lot of detail as far as like what it's really like having to go through and sense stuff in the future, especially when you're sensing world events, and how it's really hard and it's not that easy. And I actually used some examples from posts that I did back in like 2014 and 15, where I made a lot of posts that year. I don't know why back then I made a lot of posts, but I made a lot of posts in that period that were about the future and about world events and certain things. And there was a lot of things that I got pretty on the money. I hit the nail on the head with a lot of different things, and then there were a few things they just never happened. But I go into it in great detail, and you can go check out my article. I give specific like time frames and dates and all that other stuff. So it's really interesting. But one of the things that I talked about in the article was a dream that I had back in 2019. And in 2009, March 29th in 2019, which was last March. And today it's, I already told you the date for today. I had a dream, and this has happened many a times where I have this dream. There's a lot of like circumstances happening in the dream. I'm in the first person perspective, and I'm witnessing or I'm experiencing something personally or directly. And then I wake up and I don't know what the fuck just happened. I'm like all like, I don't know what's going on. But I remember having this dream, and it freaked me out because I didn't understand what it meant. And so I'm going to share it with you, and then I'm going to kind of like bring you along the timeline, because it looks like stuff is starting to happen, which is why I'm freaking out a little bit, because I am really freaked out about violence and about a lot of I'm really freaked out. Let's just put it that way. And it got even worse when I saw John Edwards post something on his Twitter that said he believed that there was going to be a civil war. And he's been seeing this for a while now, and he doesn't really make predictions for the future, but when he does, it's because he really feels it intensely. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, this is kind of like adding up to what I'm already been feeling or what's going on with me. I'm not saying that there's going to be a civil war, but I'm going to describe and share with you like the whole series of events. Okay, so let's start from square one. So let's go back to last year, March 29, 2019. And I'm going to read what I posted on Facebook. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail because I didn't go into it as much detail in the post, but I covered more of that detail in my article on May 20th, okay? So the post that I wrote on May, it's right there, March right there. It's still on my Facebook. I never took it down just because I was like, I don't know what this means. And granted, let me put this out there. I don't really say that I'm this party or that party. I say I'm a human being and I have beliefs and I have ideas. Whatever I align with is whatever I'm going to go in the direction of. I tend to align with more liberal-minded ideas, but I'm also a pragmatist, and I know that there's a lot of things that are possible. There's a lot of things that aren't possible. I think with the whole COVID thing and everything that's happened, it's kind of turned everything upside down, and a lot of things that weren't possible before may now be necessities. And so it's kind of like changing the scenario and everything. But I have plenty of friends who are conservatives. I have plenty of family members who are conservatives. I have people who are Trumpers. I have friends who are Trumpers, and I love people. I love humans, and I love my friends and I love my family, and I will never do anything to hurt them. But if you ever put me in a position where I have to vote for, for people to be treated well, to be treated equally, or to, whatever, I'm always going to vote that direction. It doesn't matter what my family believes or not. So I'm always going to go in the direction of how I feel. I need to act that is in accordance with compassion and having a good heart and being a kind and generous person. And if anyone or anything reflects the opposite, I'm not aligning myself with that, because that's not what I represent, and that's not what I believe in, and that's not what any of the spiritual masters that I've ever followed or studied, including Jesus, or Yeshua, which is who I know him to be, ever supported or ever aligned themselves with. And people who call themselves this or that and they don't follow the rules or they don't follow the example, I don't, that's not what you are. You either live by example or not. But, I know I'm going on a tangent, but let's go back to this. So here's the article. Here's the post that I did on March 29th on Facebook. I've been grappling with this all morning, but after taking a vote and discussions with my friends, I feel I should share. Let me make this perfectly clear. This post is in no way meant to demean or marginalize the beliefs or ideas of any of you. I share this not to make a political point, but simply to provide context for my interpretation and dream. I want you to know that I love each and every one of you. I believe we are all entitled to our feelings, ideas, and perspectives. This is not supposed to be a political argument, but the sharing of a dream and interpretation that may have real world implications. I love you. I love all of you from various political ideologies and respect your views. If you become upset, angry, or disappointed with me, please know that is not my intent, but as a vessel for information and knowledge, I still have to do my job. Occupational hazard, which is true. Like, I just get downloaded with shit and I gotta share it, right? I tried creating a watered down version of the image, removing the political elements, but Canva wouldn't let me download the image. After multiple attempts, I've taken it as a sign from the universe, or as the universe's way of saying, just share it as is and explain. The message in the download screen didn't help. So with my dream, I sometimes like to create little pictures, because sometimes just sharing a dream visually, just through words, isn't enough. I want to give people an idea of what I'm seeing and kind of give them a whole feel for it. So I created a picture for this specific dream in the post. And it was very charged. It was very racially charged. And it was also very politically charged. And I thought, I don't really want to ruffle feathers. I don't really want to piss people off, because I don't really want to be the recipient of hate and people reaching out saying, no, fuck you, or this or that or whatever. I don't really want to hear it. But every time I tried to download it from Canva, which is where I used to make my pictures, it would not let me download the watered down version of the picture. So I decided, screw it, I'm just going to download the actual picture that I made originally that's racially charged and politically charged. Sure enough, as soon as I clicked downloaded like no problem, right? So here's the dream. In the dream, there were a group of black marchers in front of the White House. They reminded me of a church group. They began climbing over the fence and making their way towards the building. On top of the building was D. Trump with soldiers. He took one of the guns from the soldiers and began firing directly at the crowd. Everyone was scrambling and running in different directions. I believe I was a middle-aged black man and was also part of the crowd. I grabbed an older gentleman and helped him get over to a safe area. He was hit a couple of times. My finger was also grazed. We made it away from the area and to a hospital that was prepared to deal with the casualties. The old man survived and was treated, and I went back to my life working as a server in a hotel. What was really weird is that people in the general public did not know what had happened, or at least didn't realize the full extent of the events. They downplayed or acted like this was a minor altercation. They they didn't realize he had fired on the crowd, or how dangerous it all became and how many people got hurt. I had to stand up and tell people that it wasn't a minor event, and I was there. I was witness to the atrocity. The odd and symbolic part of it is that right after I helped the older black gentleman to the hospital and saw my own injury, I noticed a black rock lodged in my finger. I wasn't hit, but a bullet by some weird stone. I wasn't hit by a bullet, but by some weird stone. So instead of a bullet, I was hit by some weird stone. It was a black colored stone. After a while, a beautiful crystal or diamond came out of the stone. I didn't understand what it was or what was happening. It almost reminded me of when people say diamond from the rough. Like, whenever, people say you can create something beautiful out of something ugly, or when you put coal under a lot of pressure, it creates a diamond. Like, that's what I was reminded of. Then my mama cat woke me up. So then at that point, my mama cat was like trying to wake me up. Hey, wake up, come and feed me. So at this point, I try to interpret the dream, right? It's easier to interpret other people's dreams than my own, just because I'm more connected to my dreams. But for other people, I can be a little more objective. The interpretation. There are so many references and symbolic interpretations that could be made here. It could just be my own personal feelings, all about the world drama playing out in dream form, or something else. If I were to interpret it as something that may be real world happenings, then I'd say that perhaps there is going to be a black march in the Capitol or near a government building. There are some radical elements there, maybe people who are radically motivated to act in violence. There is gunfire and all hell breaks loose. People are hurt or even killed in the incident. Out of something dark comes something beautiful, where people may come together to stand against a racial issue that seems to be becoming more unstable as the days pass. This would be my most logical assessment of the symbolism in the dream. So then I actually showed a picture, which this is the picture that I showed. So in the dream, it was really interesting, and I actually go into it in more detail because I described more about it in my article from May 20th this year, where I actually go into more detail about the dream, because there were some things I didn't mention in my original post, but that I remembered very clearly, which was when Donald Trump was on top of the White House. He turned to one of the soldiers, or the sharpshooters, and he said, fire, and it was a military personnel. He told the military officers, or the soldiers, or the Marines, I guess it would be Marines, he told them to fire into the crowd, or to fire on the marchers or on the protesters. And they were shocked, and they also they didn't know what to do, because they were basically being asked to fire on citizens in the US, and they didn't know what to do, and they kind of held back, or they just decided they were not going to do that. And so because they were not going to do that, he took the gun out of these soldiers' hands and he pointed it at the crowd, and he started to shoot at people, and there was fire going everywhere. Now what's interesting about this is, I personally, when I woke up, I was like, I don't think that Donald Trump would ever take a gun and shoot at actual people. I don't think he's got it in him to do that. He couldn't even go to war. But I don't think that's his personality. I don't think he would do something like that. However, what I was thinking, and what I mentioned in my article on the May 20th, is that because we've got a lot of these militia people coming up, these white supremacists, and these people who are more motivated and are more willing to do the dirty work for the president, or to, hey, if he says to shoot, if he says to defend him, we're there for Donald. We're going to be there for him. And I can totally see all of these fools who think that they are like the new republic, who think that they are the new version of the US, or the purified version of the US. I can see them totally taking violent action on behalf of the president, because he says this or he says that. So at the time, and what I mentioned in my article, is I'm worried because we have these situations going on around certain states like Michigan, where you have all of these militiamen with all of these rifles and all of these guns showing up to the Capitol, or showing up to these offices, and threatening the governor, and threatening to kill, and threatening violence, and protesting, and trying to be antagonistic, and trying to, scare people. So that is not a good recipe for peace. That immediately is hey, you're going to listen to us, and we are going to take action if you don't. That's pretty much the statement that they're making. And they're using their weapons and their guns to be that threat. At the same time, we have the whole situation with what just happened, with the black man that was killed, who was jogging, and a couple of cops killed him, or one guy who was a retired officer killed him because, or his son killed him. That whole situation played out, and that still hasn't been resolved, and that still hasn't, even though they've been arrested, that's all. It's almost like, there's a lot of sugarcoating that still happened there for a long time, and they were not arrested for months. Then you have the other gentleman who was literally murdered in the middle of the street. It takes me back to Orange is the New Black, when Hussein was killed. So it takes me back to that moment when I see the video, because I can't see violence. I don't like seeing violence. I'm not a violent person. I'm not an aggressive person in that way. So for me to see that is really painful. So it's everywhere, and I'm seeing people posting, and it's just breaking my heart to see it. So seeing that, and then on top of everything that's happened, I completely understand people's outrage and their anger and their rage, because you don't kill people. You don't take life. I don't care who you are, what you believe in, even if you're religious or not. That goes across the board. You are not in a position to take someone's life, and you definitely shouldn't take someone's life if they fucking had a $20 bill, if it was counterfeit, or if someone thought it was counterfeit. It doesn't matter. That's not a reason to take someone's life. There's actually no real good reason to take someone's life except in self-defense, when you have no other choice but to do that. And these officers are equipped with all kinds of stuff. They can use other things. And I know, because I have plenty of friends who are police officers, and I'm worried about them because they are now targets for angry people. And we have so many officers out there who are doing good jobs, who are there to help us, who are there to be there to save us from painful and challenging and dangerous situations. But at the same time, you got a bunch of fools out there who have made this into a complete nightmare for both sides. So it's hard to trust officers as a whole, and so people are looking and being like, what? And then you've got officers who actually do good jobs, and now they're targets, and it's how are they going to be able to show up in their uniform the next day? Their families are going to be scared. You have this whole mess of shit going on here. So it's very disturbing, and it's very upsetting for me. And sorry, I know I'm being a little bit, but this is how I feel, and I think I represent a majority of people who are feeling the same thing by just watching what we're watching. And it's not like this is a made-up film. This wasn't a doctored film. These are real footage of the situation. Unlike other people who like to doctor things up and make things look a certain way, this is real footage. So I went, after I started to hear about the first gentleman being killed when he was jogging or out running, that got my attention. So it was the militiaman at Michigan, and then it was the murder of the gentleman jogging, and then it was John Edwards posting, I'm really worried, or this is coming, or whatever. So all of that has been concerning me. And then on Monday, and I've been telling people, I've been talking to about this. This is not anything that I'm saying is the first time. You may be hearing it for the first time, but I've mentioned this everywhere. I actually had a podcast that I recorded on Tuesday with my teacher, Pam Coronado, who's also a very well-respected psychic detective, and she's been on TV, and she's worked with the FBI, etc. And we were talking about all of this, and I told her, I said, I keep seeing violence in cities, and I even told my partner, I'm like, look, I'm worried about ourselves, our lives. I'm freaked out. We need to be prepared that if shit hits the fan and stuff goes sour, and we already have the whole COVID thing going on, if shit hits the fan, we need to be prepared to possibly have to leave really quickly, or maybe go across the border or something, because things we don't know. You just don't know what you're going to be dealing with. And when you're dealing with people who are angry and upset, you can become a target very quickly. So I don't know what to expect. And we were talking about this, and I was just like, I keep seeing violence in cities. I feel like we're going to be seeing in the news in the next few months, getting closer to the election, that there's going to be these outbreaks and these violent clashes and stuff in cities, in major cities, not so much in the rural areas, but in the major cities. And it freaking me out, because I am not one to be wanting to be in a violent situation. I'm not one who wants to take a life. I'm not one who even wants to be physically violent with anybody, period. And my family's in Houston. My family's all in a major city, and that worries the hell out of me. And my friends who are officers in cities, and my friends who are angry and upset, and I get all of it. So I go into this And I went on this. So on May 18th, 2 days before I did my article, I went on to Facebook and I reposted my original post from that time. And I said, this post is not meant to not meant to marginalize anyone from either political spectrum, as I respect the right for everyone to have their own opinions and choices, but wanted to circle back around to a dream I had last year in March 2019, with so many symbolic references and elements that seem to be appearing more and more with each day. Typically, my world events dreams occur within 1 to 2 years, so hoping this is me seeing a pattern that is incorrect and that my dream was just a nightmare and less of a prophecy. So I'm becoming increasingly concerned that the dream I had last year may connect to the elements or aspects of these two events converging, somehow becoming connected as we get closer to November. And then I posted a few posts from the different news articles that I found that kind of matched up to it. All right, so then we got all that, right? So tonight there was this whole, they basically lit up a police precinct in one of the cities. There's a lot of protests going on in different cities. It's getting it's getting crazy, and it's starting to look like what I've been talking about and what I've been seeing. Then I see what Trump posts, which, let me get to that. Where is that at? Because I know this was just like less than an hour ago from when I started recording this. So Donald Trump threatens to call in National Guard. U.S. President Donald Trump has tweeted about the protests, calling those involved thugs and threatening to send in the National Guard. And then this is one of his posts. I can't stand back and watch this happen to a great American city, Minneapolis. A total lack of leadership. Either the very weak radical left mayor, Jacob Frey, get his act together and bring either the very weak radical left mayor Jacob Frey get his act together and bring the city under control, or I will send in the National Guard and get the job done right. And then he goes on, these thugs are dishonoring the memory of George Floyd, and I won't let that happen. Just spoke to Governor Tim Walz and told him that the military is with him all the way. Any difficulty and we will assume control, but when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Thank you. And so, and then there was a mention, St. Paul Police Department reports over 170 businesses damaged or looted and dozens of fires, but no reports of serious injuries. And this worries me because I know there's a group out there, a radical militia group, who wants to have another civil war. They want to start another civil war. And so I wouldn't be surprised if there's kind of mobilization of them trying to get in on it, because this is basically an opportunity for them to create more of it and to build up into a bigger event. And then I just saw a video a little while ago where it's not being left up on social media, or it keeps coming down. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I was told. Sometimes people just like climb on something, they jump on board something, and they keep passing on the same ideology or the same way that they understood it. But there's a video of this man, he's like in complete like face mask with the gas thing. He has a hoodie on, he has an umbrella, and which I feel like the umbrella is a symbolic reference for something. So I feel like he represents some symbolic gesture for a larger group that is kind of mobilizing themselves or trying to initiate further civil discord. And so he goes to he goes to an AutoZone and he starts bashing all the windows in with a hammer for no reason at all. There's nothing there. He's just bashing them in just because of the hell of it. But he doesn't seem like someone who's just angry or mad. He's just bashing it. And all the other protesters who are there, like not really being violent, they're like, who the hell are you? And why are you doing that? Like, what does that have to do with anything? And they're asking him and they're approaching him and they're talking to him. And he's like, get the hell out of my way, get the hell out of my way. And it's obviously this tall white man who's got this like mask on, and there's something weird about him. And they think they're like in the video that you can hear him talking, and they're like, are you a cop? Are you a cop? But I wouldn't be surprised if he's a person that belongs to another group that is using that umbrella as a symbol for mobilization or for like communication across the board. So I feel like this is adding up to what I've been seeing and what I saw last year. And it's freaking me the hell out, and I'm really worried. I'm really scared. I'm worried for everybody in the cities. I'm worried for everybody who is protesting, because I don't think that the military is going to step in and start to, attack. the American people. I don't think that the military is going to do that. And I even told my partner this. I said this a few months ago. I said, I feel like when there's going to be like physical violence, or when there starts to be violence and stuff, I don't believe that the military is going to step in and try to act as Trump's gun or force. I think that they're going to pull back, because this is basically going to create an even more unstable situation. I think what they're going to do is try to coordinate or help the local law enforcement and maybe try to get some more control. But I don't think that they are going to kill or start to fire and kill a lot of people. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know if that's be the case, but I can totally see these militia people and these people who want to stand in defiance of, you know, the leftist agenda, or the gay agenda, or the black agenda, or the Asian agenda, or the Mexican agenda. I can see those groups coming in and starting to rile things worse and shake it up and want to get in on the action and act as the brute force of the president. And he's going to be like, yeah, you know, do it. Which at that point, this starts to turn it into a completely different direction. So I think this is where all this is going. I did mention in my post that I did in my article that I did feel there was going to be a change of guard by the end of the year, so that there might be a different person in power at that point. But this is unacceptable for American people, for our country, for us being the most powerful and the most civilized and the most intelligent country in the world. It doesn't look like it. It looks like we're a bunch of fools, and we are basically fighting each other, and we are not working together, cooperating, and this is no longer the country of dreams. It's the country of broken promises, is what it looks like. And this is from every political spectrum, because if you're in a right-wing party or a left-wing, it doesn't really matter. I think you can agree with all of that. Like, this has just gone to hell in a handbasket. So yeah, so that's what's going on. But I wanted to share my experience with my dream last year and what I was seeing, and kind of give you an idea of what I'm thinking. But I hope you stay safe, and I hope some of you stay out of the crossfires. And I wish everybody just safety. And if you are someone who is planning on taking lives because you think your beliefs are worth taking lives, then you do not deserve to have the freedoms that you have. You do not deserve to, you don't deserve to be called a human being. So there's no reason to kill anybody. There's no reason to hurt other people. You know, we can work together and work on our issues. We don't have to use brute force or domination or killing to get things done. We can just do so by talking and understanding each other, even if we're different. But I hope y'all stay safe, okay? Bye.